Hey guys, this is Toti bringing you another Commander deck tech. This time, back to another classic, Crash the Blood-Braided. Right, so the idea of this guy is that we're gonna have a lot of sacrifice outlets and stuff that do nice things whenever a creature is sacrificed. What he does is whenever a creature dies, he gets +1/+1 counters equal to that creature's power. So we're gonna want our creatures to die. We're gonna want to sacrifice them for cool stuff. So this guy can get really big and really fat and really nasty. And then we basically normally win through commander damage because he gets pretty fast, pretty big, pretty fast. Right, so let's actually begin on this side over here, going through these cards. Okay, these are basically cards that do nice things when creatures die. This guy, for example, I'm not gonna say his name, but the Death Keeper, he puts 3/1 tokens whenever a creature dies, which you can then sacrifice to crash again, so you can make him really big, really fast. Stalking Vengeance does damage to players equal to the creature that died's power. Vicious Shadow is kind of a similar thing. Whenever a creature dies, it deals equal damage to a player equals to the number of cards in his hand. So yeah, this thing can get really stupid as well. I would say even more stupid than Stalking Vengeance, because if you have a lot of token generators, you can sacrifice a bunch of them and make them lose a lot of life. Then Grave Pact and Butcher of Malakir do basically the same thing. Grave Pact effect makes other players sacrifice creatures whenever you do. Then I don't know why Lighting Greaves is in here. I mean, in this category, it's just a random equipment that we have here to give our sweet guys haste. Over here we have some card advantage. Skull Camp Classic, especially with a lot of +1/+1 tokens or 1/1 creatures we're going to be making. Yavimaya Elder is land searching, and let's call it card advantage as well. Harmonize, Oversoul Cemetery to get our guys back. Phyrexian Arena is a classic. Worldly Tutor. Now we are getting into the tutor section. So this lets us search for a creature and put it on top of our library. The Demonic Tutor, probably the best one ever. Just grab any card and put it in our hand. Survival of the Fittest lets us transform a creature in our hand into basically any other in the deck. Eternal Witness and Regrowth basically do the same thing, just let us reuse the cards that we already played from our graveyard. And then, yeah, this one I have basically no other place to put it. Overwhelming Stampede is just like a finisher. I didn't get to test it out yet. Some of the cards I have here are new, but I have been hearing good things about it, so let's give it a shot. Then in this category we have some removal. Maelstrom Pearls, pretty much Vindicate. Ancient Grudge against artifacts is always nice. I mean, in this format I always try to play cards that are at least 2-for-1, because I don't really like 1-for-1s here, because you play against 4 players, unless they're really versatile like a Maelstrom Pearls. Yeah, that being said, these kind of cards are the one I like. Starstorm, Damnation, just basically Wrath of Gods. Consuming Vapors, just basically to deal with indestructible creatures like Ulamog and those kind of things. Decree of Pain, I play this card in every single deck that plays black. This card is amazing. It can just win games for you. It's a Wrath of God, and well, everyone lost all their creatures and maybe lost all their resources that they invested in their creatures. You gain a bunch of cards, and yeah, it's just sick. You guys have to try it. And Maze of Ith against just annoying commanders that will want to attack you or something. Then here we have a bit of ramp, just Wood Elves, Sakura Tribe Elder, Soul Ring, Solemn Simulacrum. Then Awakening Zone is also ramp, but it's also a very nice sacrifice outlet if we want to trigger things like Vicious Shadows, for example, or Grave Pact, Butcher, those kind of things. Doesn't work really with Stalking Vengeance, this guy, or Crash, but it's still pretty good. And it ramps, so yeah, it's pretty good. It also combos with some of our other cards like the Overwhelming Stampede or like a Creekwood Leech that I'll show you guys in a second to basically make these things bigger. Over here now we have sacrifice outlets. So Feed the Pack is a new one from Dark Ascension, pretty cool one too. You can sacrifice a creature a turn and put 2/2s equal to its toughness. So you basically double up in let's say in power and toughness, assuming it's more or less the same. That's pretty nice for Crash. Bloodshot Cyclops. This lets us fling creatures at people's faces. That is really nice with Crash and other cards like Lord of Extinction, like a really big, really fast. I would say Lord of Extinction or Crash into Fling is one of the most used win conditions in this deck. Like Bloodshot Cyclops, we also have Fling, Grab the Reins, and Rite of Consumption, which do kind of a similar thing, all of them. Yeah. So they all let us sacrifice creatures and throw them at people's faces. This one lets us gain life as well, so that's nice. Might be a bit too many fling effects, but we'll see about that. Then Greater Good, sacrifice outlet, and lets us draw a bunch of cards. That's pretty good as well. Attrition, that's removal and sacrifice outlet, so pretty cool. Greater Gargadon as well, lets us sacrifice things, and eventually we'll put a pretty big guy into play. The fling effects we mentioned. Then Mykolov just eats a bunch of dudes when he comes to play, and then makes more dudes, so that's pretty cool. On this side here we have nice utility creatures, so creatures that do nice things when they come into play. Spike Bellows, this one is amazing because if you evoke the guy, he actually comes into play and then he dies, right? It's not like a spell, even though that's kind of the idea of evoke. He actually touches the battlefield and then dies. So you actually, for 3 mana, you kill something and Crash gets +6/+6, so this guy's amazing. Caldera Helion is kind of a Wrath of God effect as well. It's not the best, but he's fine. Acidic Slime and this guy should be kind of close together there. They do the same thing basically. Do a disenchant when they hit the battlefield. Woodfall Primus is more or less the same thing, but bigger and would persist. And he can as well destroy lands, which is pretty cool. This guy is as well new from Dark Ascension, and trying him out, he's kind of like Flame Tonkabu. Well, I mean, he dies and then he comes back and deals damage to a creature equal to his power when he comes back from the graveyard. Necrotal, Shriekmaw, Flame Tonkabu, kind of the same thing. And then Fleshback Marauder, he is a classic as well. 3/1, that's pretty cool because you can sacrifice himself and give Crash +3/+3. Then here we have just a couple of creatures that wanna be dead normally because they give you cool abilities like haste and lets you bring stuff back. Some just decent creatures like Master of the Wild Hunt lets us put some wolves, which can then be sacrificed or make you it battles other creatures. Creekwood Leech is pretty cool, puts a 3/3 into the battlefield every turn and pumps all your tokens. Mitotic Slime is really nice because you can sacrifice him like a million times, and basically with this guy, Crash gets like plus, I don't know, like +12/+12 or something just with this guy, so that's pretty cool. Withered Wretch and Nazumi Grave Robber, just a bit of graveyard hate because there are always some of those decks. And here just a bunch of nice fatties. Spearbreaker Behemoth makes our other fatties indestructible, which is pretty cool. Vigor, this guy is sick. This guy is totally sick as well. He's one of my favorite cards here in Commander. It basically makes all your creatures basically worse than indestructible. It's as if this guy said all your creatures are indestructible and unblockable, because no one will ever block you. What he does, just in case you're wondering, is whenever a creature you control receives damage, you prevent the damage and you put that amount of +1/+1 counters on the creature. So yeah, people will not want to battle with you when this guy is is in play. You might get blown out if he gets killed while you attack with him in play, but yeah, what can you do? Primeval Titan, just a classic ramp guy. I'm gonna skip this guy here because I'm gonna talk about him in a second. Lord of Extinction, I talked about him. He's just ginormous. We fling him at people's faces. Avatar of Woe is just a good guy and can come pretty cheap. Sheoldred, again, this girl is just very good. He does an edict and resurrects a guy every turn. So yeah, she is just that good. And then the guy who wanted to leave for the last, Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Yeah, this guy's again a new card from Dark Ascension, and he is pretty sick. So just by himself, he is a 5/5 Intimidate guy, black guy, so more difficult to kill. So he can smash in for quite a bit. Then whenever a human deals damage, you destroy it, which is not something to ignore. I mean, there are a bunch of humans here. I mean, even like Crash himself is a human, for example, and a bunch of other commanders are as well, I guess. And then his best ability is other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Intimidate. So that is sick. He basically is a crusade on a stick, on a really big stick, and he gives Undying to all your creatures. That is absolutely sick. So, you know, all these cards I was saying here, well, they have basically double the effect with Mikaeus, because when they die they come back and do their thing again, and even bigger. Just ridiculous. Even with like Willful Primus, I'm not even 100% sure how that works, but with Persist and Undying, I mean, they both trigger, I guess, when the creature dies. So I would assume you can pick which one you use. So in theory, you would be able to trigger one, and then the other one, and then the first one, and the second one. So we basically trigger Persist once, then Undying, and then Persist, and you can basically bring him back every time. So that's pretty decent. Yeah. Then the lands here. Not much to say about the mana producing lands. Just basically all the duels I can play on these colors. All the searches I can play that I own. Then Tainted Woods, because yeah, they're just cool. Okay, yeah, this one, let's put him over here because he's in a sacrifice outlet. I have a couple of lands I'm going to speak about in a minute. These just give mana, basically. And here are some of the special lands. This one is pretty sweet because it's a sacrifice outlet, which is something we really want. Then, yeah, Vimea Hollow. This is an epic land as well. Now that Ursa's Destiny, for a long time we didn't have this card, but now we do, and it's amazing. The ability to regenerate creatures in a land, that's very good. Then Volrath Stronghold, that's a classic one as well. Just lets you reuse guys from your graveyard. Another sacrifice outlet, new from Dark Ascension, pretty good. And then Kessig Wolfrun, that's I mean, more than anything, to give trample to either your commander or the Lord of Extinction. But yeah, that's just good in general as well. So let's maybe shortly go through some of the combos and cool interactions that are that we have in this deck. As we discussed, Mikaeus with just about anything is a good interaction, especially with these guys. Combos presumably well with Willful Primus. We'll find out because I have not really tested that, but presumably should work. What else do we have? So all of the guys that make tokens plus the Creekwood Liege is fairly decent. And the where is it? Yeah, Awakening Zone and these effects over here. Well, I spoke about already. Also with Attrition. Also, yeah, Oversold Cemetery. plus Eternal Witness and a Sacrifice Outlet lets you bring back basically anything you want from your graveyard every turn. This is especially good with the Phyrexian Tower because you can sacrifice her for 2 mana that lets you cast all your other cards, but it would work as well with Genesis, only it costs much more mana. And oh yeah, I actually just realized there's a card that is missing here. Living Death. I am fairly sure that I added it at some point, but apparently it didn't really get saved. We'll use the old version of Living Death because it's much nicer, and we will remove. I already thought the card. There we go. Consuming Vapors, I think, is the card that's gonna take the hit. We have enough removal, and this card is gonna take a hit for Living Death. Living Death is also a very nice combo with where is the guy? With this guy. He does a bunch of damage, basically. And also with Grave Pact, because all the guys that die on your side trigger the abilities, and then Living Death resolves, and after that, guys have to sacrifice, your opponents have to sacrifice all the creatures, so that's pretty good. And yeah, but that's enough of me talking. Now let's actually show you some games for this deck.